Well, good day viewers. Today we have a 2005 Corvette. And it's here because the MIL is on and there's a problem with one of the headlights. So we're going to hook up the scanner and see what kind of fault codes it's generating and have a look at the headlight problem. So as the scanner noted, it's a new vehicle, 2005 Chevrolet Corvette. Hopefully it's going to pull the VIN. I think it already did. What? Well, I'm going to get the VIN. Well, that was strange. It did pull the VIN, but it said it didn't decode it. So let's do a network code scan and see what it has to tell us about this vehicle. Vent solenoid control circuit. Just did one of these, but it was a 447. Well, loss of vehicle VIM, vehicle theft deterrent class 2 communication. Class 2 communication, circuit high voltage. Right front tire, it has a tire pressure warning light on. Lost communication with ECM, PCM, right front tire. Nothing to do with the headlight though. Alright, so we'll have a look at the, well, I've got a record of all of these codes, so I'm going to clear all the codes. Scan tool records a record of all the codes that's in history here, and there's nothing that I really need to see. Let's go into the engine control computer, functional tests, output controls, and canister vent solenoid. Where is it? Evap Vent Solenoid, open close. Will not function if it's running an evap test. It's not running an evap test. I'm going to try to command it on and see if I can hear it. No sound other than the mouse clicking. Let's see if it set a new code again. Codes menu, display codes, display. Yeah. So we're going to put it up in the air and find the vent solenoid and have a look at the wiring to it. Well, to get my hoist arms underneath, I had to put some planks under the front tires, drive up on planks. Anyways, I found the solenoid. It's not too bad to get to. It's right up there. That's the vent solenoid. It looks the same as the ones on the trucks. So we're going to unplug that connector. We're going to connect the test light across the connector. One wire should be power with the key on, and the other wire is ground side controlled by the ECM. But rather than checking all that, I'm just going to put a Noid light across the wires or connector and see if I can command it on. So there's a Noid light installed. It won't come on until it's commanded on, so I'm going to use the scan tool now to command it on. So before I command it on, I'm going to check for DTCs. And that code has disappeared. So let's go into bidirectional controls. Functional tests, output controls, vent solenoid. Oh, I don't have the key on, I guess. Okay, let's retry that. I added an accessory mode not on. It's push button start. Plus it's a standard. So let's have a look and see if the light is on. Well, I tried it in both open and closed and it's not illuminating. You wouldn't think there'd be a corroded wire on this thing. I don't think it's seen a winter road yet. Neither open nor closed does that light light up. So I'm going to have to get some other test equipment here. That pink wire should be power. And the white wire should be ground side controlled. I'm sure that's the vent solenoid. Yeah, that's the vent solenoid. So I tried an alternate light just in case my Noid light had failed, and it's still not on. I do have power on this pink wire. You can see And if I go on the control side, my light comes on dim and the test light comes on dim. So the wire's good up to there. My bulb is good. Usually if they fail right at the harness here because of vibration, right where the pigtail comes out. But technically now we got to look to see if there's a connector between here and the ECM, wherever that lives. I think it's behind the left front tire. But there's an open in the control, or that function is not working on the scan tool. Maybe I'll try a couple different things. So here's what I'm doing. I'm commanding the solenoid closed. It should be energized to close it and de-energized to open it. And it's not lighting my light. But I'm not 100% there's purge and seal. But that's a running test and I don't want to get that exhaust hot. Let's try the purge solenoid and see if it will respond. That one's duty cycled, so you can usually hear it buzzing away. I didn't look in the data list to see if there's the purge solenoid. And we're going to command it on. I don't hear it. And it's not changing. All right, let's rethink this. It appears the scan tool bidirectional tests are not functioning. So before we jump to conclusion and start checking continuity of the wiring harness, with that test light in there, it should simulate the continuity through the control coil, and there shouldn't be any codes. So let's clear this code, because I cleared it before, and it came back basically immediately. Give it about 5 seconds. If there's a problem in the wiring, it should, see, you gotta love it when the scan tool lies to you. I'm going to check the continuity through that solenoid now instead of wasting time testing the circuit, because the code has gone away with the test light installed. So that tells me the wiring's okay, yet the test light did not come on with the scan tool. Now that tells me that the scan tool is malfunctioning, or the bidirectional test is not working correctly. Let's leave this live. I think this is live, and I'm going to unplug that test light. Okay, the test light is unplugged. Okay, maybe this is not a live report. Either that or the key shut off on me because it's a push button start. Now I don't know. Functional tests, output controls, vent solenoid, commanded on. Where is the vent solenoid here? Vent solenoid off. See, it's not changing state here, and it should be. But when I did this last time, it set a fault code with the circuit plugged in. Now it's not. Talk about confusing. I'm going to try another scanner. So I connected an ohm meter directly to the solenoid. At least we test the solenoid, and you can see 5 pointed up arrows indicate it's over 4,000 ohms, which should be around 10 to 15 ohms, that solenoid. So that solenoid has failed. I just don't know why the scan tool isn't working to command it on and off. I'm just going to try a different test, like running the fuel pump. See if that will work, because that's pretty audible. Doesn't work. There's the fuel pump relay not changing. So something's going on with this scan tool. You gotta love it when your equipment lies to you. So we're back on this canister vent valve. I managed to source one locally. The rest of them were a week away. And GM was, you have to buy the solenoid, and it comes with a new harness, or you need a new harness, and that's separate. And together the two parts are like 200 bucks. So this one come with the change-up harness, and it's held in with a little clip. Usually we just break the old one, taking it off, and then slide the new one on. So there's the new solenoid installed. You remove the one hose clamp and slide the hose off the back. Obviously the electrical connector is unplugged, and it slides off the bracket towards the back of the car and then slides back onto the bracket until it stops. I unclipped this from the body and then reattached it after. Put the little jumper harness in because it changes the style of the connector. Now I've rebooted the software on my scan tool. I'm going to see if it'll perform a purge and seal test. So I'm going to try the output controls again. Vent solenoid. No, it's still not working. Unless it's just because the key is not, unless it's not running. I'm going to try it running. Okay, I've got the vehicle running now. Let's try commanding that vent solenoid on and off. There's the status of it. Now it's working. Okay, let's try a purge and seal test. It says the purge controls the purge solenoid, closes the vent solenoid, commands the purge solenoid to 0. Keep the vent solenoid closed. Fuel should be between 15 and 85%. I didn't check the fuel level, but the data list has the fuel level in it. Fuel level 72%. So we're going to go purge, tank pressure, and vent, and I'm going to command it on to about 20%. Fuel tank pressure in inches of water. Don't want to let it get too crazy. And then seal. And now this should hold the vacuum. Now it seems to be leaking off fairly quickly. I'm going to loosen the gas cap. Where is the gas cap? So when I loosened off the gas cap, the pressure dropped significantly. Let's try this again. So you can see the vacuum building up in the tank. Let's exit out and start over again. Purge, fuel tank pressure voltage, vent solenoid, and fuel tank pressure. So there goes fuel pressure, or pressure in the fuel tank in inches of water. Seal. It's not holding pressure at all down. Notice how it dropped right back off right immediately. It worked better the first time. not function if the onboard evap diagnostic is running, so it might be running an evap diagnostic. I'm going to restart it. So it won't let me do this. It's typical GM. The coolant temperature is too high. I don't know why they abort the test if it's above nearly ambient, but we can't do this test. So I think what I'm going to do is road test the vehicle and let it run an automatic or manual test on the evap system to see if it passes or not. That'll be in readiness monitors, engine, generic functions, readiness monitors. But I'm going to wait till tomorrow when I get up, see if anybody's got one of those ballasts before I put that fender all back together. I'm sure this is going to show that it's incomplete, not complete. So we'll run it tomorrow and see if it'll pass the test. One last time I'm going to check for codes. And there are no codes, so that was definitely the problem. The solenoid has failed. Now, like I said, trying to do that purge and seal test when it's running a monitor by itself is a problem. So I don't know if that's what's going on, but we're going to leave it at that for now, and maybe road test it tomorrow and see if it goes through a drive cycle and passes the passes the evap test. I just realized that when I was turning this push button ignition on, I was putting it in an accessory mode, not in run mode. So that's probably why I was still getting data, but the bidirectional controls weren't working. Of course, running it would work. So the vent solenoid again. Yep, I heard it click. Can't hear it over my exhaust fan running, but it's definitely working now. So user error. It has a push button start, and I was pushing the button and putting it in accessory mode and not in ignition on mode. That's why the bidirectional controls weren't working. So now we're looking at the headlight problem. We got high and low beam on the driver's side. We got high beam on the passenger side, but no low beam. And he says he's changed this. Now access to this bulb is through the inner wheel well. I might have to take this lower one off to get at some wiring here. Now this is high voltage. You got to be careful touching this when it's on because you can get a good zap. Now we're going to try another bulb in there just for the hell of it and see what happens. So to get the bulb out, there's two little T10 screws that you have to remove, and be careful not to drop them inside the headlight assembly. Use a magnet, and then this bracket comes off and goes on the new bulb. The bulbs don't have a filament. It's an electric arc across this xenon tube. Well, that's not good. So we're going to have to check the wiring and see how this thing is designed. There were no codes in the body control module, but I'm not sure if that's body control module controlled or not. So here's a look at the electrical circuit. It appears that the low beam are HID, but the high beam is conventional. And it shows two fuses. So maybe I should have checked the fuses before I went to all this trouble. But the right low beam is protected by fuse number 19 in the underhood electrical center. So this is the underhood electrical center. Fuse 19 is this fuse right here, and 21 is this one right here. So this is for the right low beam and this is for the left low beam. But of course the lights have to be on. So we're going to turn the lights on, make sure my test light works. Yes, it does. And test that fuse. Okay, so we got the headlights on, power on that side, power on that side, power on that side, power on that side. So it's not the fuse. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to pull the fuse out and physically look at it in case one of the terminals is compromised, but this car is like brand new. So the fuse, as I suspected, is pristine. So what we want to find out now is if there's anything between this fuse and that headlight. There should be a ballast. I wonder if that's part of the bulb. Okay, so there is a couple of connectors between that fuse panel and that fuse. There's one at the base of the fuse panel. Connector 1, pin F2. Then there's connector 321. Normally a 300 series connector is under the hood, or in the engine, or in the passenger compartment, sorry. And 312, early production, late production. The ballast appears to be part of the bulb assembly. It doesn't show a separate ballast. And C122. I can't see how this would be numbered 312. Well, I'm going to print this diagram and do some searching for some connectors. I read this incorrectly. It's connector 120 and 122. It's circuit 311 and 312. So I was right. C120 and 122 is under the hood somewhere. So if you go to the component location, hyperlink, C120 is 5 cavities. And it says, here's the harness routing view. Oh, that's useful. Forward wiring harness 102. See if it's in there. C120. It's item 14 on here. So it's right there. Let's see what it looks like. Let's go back. 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 Now I got to scroll all the way down to the list here to C120 again. I find it hard to believe there'd be a problem with the wiring on this vehicle. It's like brand new. C120, right front. How come there's two of them? 5 cavities, 6 cavities. Well, let's try this one. C120 without T90. So we need to know if this has got T90, whatever T90 is. Well, I'm going to check to see the RPO that I subscribe to called Comp9. So you can put the VIN number in of most vehicles and get a production option list. And LMNOPQRST, I don't see T90. No, I don't see T90, whatever T90 is. Okay, so we're going to go without T90. So it's a 5-pin connector. It's rectangular with rounded corners. And does it say what color it is? Black. And it contains a right headlamp low beam, high beam, right front turn signal, and park lamp, but not the ground. Interesting. So this is the circuit in question. I've removed the lower portion of the right inner fender and the right front wheel to get in there. And I found a connector, but I'm not sure if it's the correct one, but it appears to be. So the wire in question is a tan white wire. And it's in, well, I'm not sure if I'm on C122 or C120. I'll show you where it is on the vehicle. So with that plastic lower shield out of the way, I think this is the connector. Guess I should be pointing the camera at the... So there's a tan white wire right there. Let's have a look at this connector view again. Tan white in pin 1 or pin B. Well, let's see if I got power on that tan white wire. That's going up towards the headlight. And it's got 5 wires in it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why is it changed color? It's tan white on that side, but it's yellow on that side. Is that the way it is on the connector? Oh, it is. Look at that. So we must be on... That's hard to say. Well, we're going to check that tan white wire, or the yellow wire, because it changes color for some stupid reason. It's tan white, then it becomes yellow, then it becomes tan white. So we're either in pin B or pin C. Well, most of the time the alphabet goes A, B, C. So that would be B. So let's backpin it. So I decided to take the connector apart to inspect it. And on this end of the connector, which appears to be coming from the body of the vehicle, I have power on that tan white wire. Then it becomes yellow. So that tells me there must be another sub harness up here. Let's see about ground. Okay, so that appears to be the right connector. Ground is 1250, pin A right beside it, which is black. So I'm going to put a headlight between the black and the tan white to see if it lights, confirm the ground. Well, as you can see, my headlight lights using the power and ground to that connector. So this must be the connector that goes up. There's supposed to be another connector up top here, and I don't find it behind this panel. So that harness goes right up behind the headlight, but it must go into some kind of a connector. I can't feel it. I can feel it up here. There it is there. It goes right behind this headlight, and the only thing, this is all part of the inner fender. That doesn't look like 5 minutes to take out. So I'm wondering if we can take the headlight out. Then I also see what appears to be a ballast on the bottom of this headlight. So I'm wondering if I take that out and see if there's any connection. It doesn't show it in the schematic though. So I guarantee you that's the ballast right there. And there's the black and yellow wire coming from this connector, black and yellow. So we're going to check for power here at this black and yellow wire, and if we have power, then we need a ballast. Why doesn't it show that in the schematic as a separate component? So I got a couple of probes in that black and yellow wire plugging into the ballast. Hooked to my headlight here. We're going to see if it lights a headlight when the low beams are on. Well, I guess it needs a ballast. I wonder where that's got to come from. See if I can get a part number off of it. Well, the part number on the ballast is 15220612, and I did a search for it on the local part suppliers, and no luck. Don't like the price of these on eBay, $1,000. That's US dollars, so that's like $1,350, $1,400 Canadian. So I'm going to phone the dealer tomorrow and find out what a ballast is worth. But if it's $1,000 on eBay, it's probably $2,000 here. Wow, that's crazy. Here's a used one for $100 US. Well, we got a used one now. And of course, no warranty on a used part. Do some digging.